Hi and welcome to another FlightGear live recording video. In this video I'd like to take a look at performing a full ILS landing on a 777. I've made tutorials for this before, but they were all in the few minutes format, and I realized there's people out there who would like to have a more in-depth and slower paced tutorial. I'm going to be doing more of these live recording videos, not just because people want to watch them, but also because I'm in the middle of my exams for school and I simply don't have time to edit a video. To edit my other type of video, which is how-tos and stuff like that, which takes many hours every week. And I simply don't have those right now. So as much as I would like to make more videos and create quality content, I'm just not able to do that at the moment, but I hope this way I'll still be able to deliver about once a week a video for you. So we're coming in for approach above Hawaii. Beautiful island in FlightGear as well. Some nice fog here on the ground. And we'd like to land, because what's the point of going to Hawaii if you're not going to land? So we would like to land at BHNL, which is I think the main airport of Hawaii, looks like it. And we're going to be landing at runway 08 left, for no particular reason. Well, a particular reason would be that it has an ILS glide slope. And I don't know why my autopilot is disconnecting here. I think because I have to add some flaps and try to reconnect it. Okay, so I'm descending to 3,000 feet. 3,000, yes. Using the autopilot with 700 feet per minute. That's pretty slow, but well, we're still at 7,000 feet. The point of an ILS approach actually is to intercept the glide slope at the correct point. And if you know what that specific point is, then you'll be ready to go. Typically for an ILS landing, well, you'll have to fly towards somewhere around this point. I'm using the equipment map, by the way, to get this view. So we would have to turn to the right and then fly west, which is called flying downwind. And then about at this point we'll have to turn to the left, to turn east again to intercept the glide slope right here. So let's do so. We'll turn to the right. I'm still using the autopilot for this. You could fly manually, but there's no real need to do so. And west is of course 270 degrees. If you don't know how the 777 autopilot works, it's actually fairly simple. I think I've made a tutorial about it. How to 19, I think. It's quite some time ago. Maybe I should update that because it has changed. Also, I'm slowing down to 180 knots and adding some more flaps to flap setting 5 before the autopilot starts disconnecting again because of stall. So we've turned 180 degrees to the right, left and right, confusing things. We're flying west, and typically at this point you would like to be at about 3 to 3,000 feet above the ground, and flying maybe 180 or even 160 knots in a typical airliner. Also be sure, if you haven't done a full flight, be sure to check your fuel and weight. This plane is pretty empty, even though, well, we do have quite some passengers on board. So be sure you're not landing with fuel like this, because you can see this has immediate impact on the flight dynamics. Landing won't be so easy. Unless you're going to be using an Autoland, which I am going to show you in this video. So we are steadily descending. It's having a tough time slowing down, because 700 feet vertical speed is it's kind of on the edge of the plane being able to descend while slowing down or not. So let's make this minus 600. And of course also we have to look up ILS information, like the frequency of the glide slope and the localizer. So let's do that right now. It's easy if you have the in-flight map here. You could do the same thing with the multiplayer map, but it's a little more complicated. Here you just have to look at the the localizer and click on data, and there you go. BHNL 08 left, ILS category 1, heading is 080, frequency 111.7. So let's go to the equipment radio settings, and it's quite a coincidence that this says 111.7, so we can flip the switch and now it's under active for navigation 1, and you'll see immediately this the color of this thing changes. Also, we looked at the heading just a second ago, 80, so let's fill in 080. So now the autopilot knows what heading the glide slope is at. Alright, now let's try to set up a nice view of the autopilot. So we're still descending to 3,000 feet. We're at approximately 4,000 right now. In a minute we'll turn to the left to fly base. So this is called downwind, and this is called flying base, and this is final. So let's turn to 180 degrees right now, because we're at the end of the glide slope. So we're starting to fly base. And let's slow down even more to 160 knots. And add some more flaps if needed. Which, yeah, because the pitch of the plane is quite high up. Also, on the primary flight display right here, it shows what flap setting you should be at. If the speed goes into this red area, you'll definitely have to add flaps, but I generally like to add them a bit earlier. Don't know if that's supposed to I don't know if you're supposed to do that though. Okay, so we're pretty much ready to intercept the glide slope. You can do this by clicking the approach button and then turning to, well, in this case it already found it, but if the plane hasn't found the localizer yet, this is heading 80. We just looked that up. So if you add 30 degrees to that, you'll end up on 110. So if you're somewhere in this area, flying south, you could turn to 110 degrees, like the plane is doing automatically right now, and you'll eventually intercept the glide slope path. I'm sorry, the localizer, horizontal component. So if you set heading 110, you'll fly like this. And then you can click the approach button as well, and as soon as the plane finds the glide slope or horizontal localizer, it will intercept it. Also, we are now at 3000 feet. This is generally a good altitude to hold. Sometimes a bit lower is safe as well. So maybe 2000 or 2500. So the interception is going great. On the primary flight display you can see this dot going up to the center. If that dot stays in the center position, then you are fully lined up with the runway and ready to approach. Well, actually you're already approaching it. Oh, you can follow along on the map. This line, dotted line, shows where exactly you're flying, so that's pretty accurate. Let's enjoy some nice views of the island here. With the mountain. Oh, that's a weird river. Let's not look at that. Some nice mountains. Morning sun. Beautiful. And the random buildings in the city. Yeah, looks great. Alright, in a minute we'll see the vertical component of the localizer show up somewhere on this thing. Because we're at 3000 feet, it should appear just above the middle. I did not check the QNH value though. If you've seen my Autoland video, there it is. It will descend now. If you've seen my Autoland video, you'll it's quite a nosedive. It's not really making me finish my sentence, is it? If you've seen my Autoland tutorial, you know that the QNH value is something you should actually check to make sure the altitude is relative to the airport's elevation and not relative to the sea level. And if it's at 29.92, it's relative to sea level in standard conditions. So in this case, you can see this is the radio altimeter, which just kicked in. It does below 3000 feet usually. They quite match up, but actually I should have checked it first. Alright, so as we're approaching now, I have the runway on visual actually. I'll slow the plane down to even further, 130 something, 32 should do. Alright, and it says here flaps 15. Let's lower the landing gear. And also set up the plane in case of a go around. So then we would climb to 3000, that's fine, and heading 080, fine as well. Now let's add flaps. Full flaps should be good. And let's first do an auto land. I'll show you how that's done. There's only one more thing to do. That's to set the auto brakes. Let's set it to something like 2. That's fine. And now you see it says land 3, which confirms that it's able to land automatically. Also roll out and flare, which means it will keep the plane at the runway center line. So now all we do is we wait and see. Also, something you might want to check, the autopilot for some reason uses the pitch trim to control the pitch of the plane, which you can see right here. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the same as in real life, but if you want, you can actually use the arrow keys or mouse, I don't know, to set the pitch down, so the pitch trim, the elevator trim, goes to the center position, if that makes sense. That way after touchdown you will probably not have to check the pitch trim anymore. Don't adjust it too quickly though, that might kick the plane off the glide slope. Alright, so we're almost there. Let's see. Let's get a nice view of this. The water's doing quite some crazy things.
500.
The auto throttle should automatically cut the engines to idle when flaring, so
Light slope.
let's watch this landing.
Minimums. Light slope.
That's some crazy turns.
100. 50. Sink rate. 30.
Oh, wow. I've had smoother auto lands, but that's fine. I noticed right around 2,200 feet the auto throttle only adjusted the left engine, which made the plane go quite crazy. I don't know if that's a bug or something else, but if it's supposed to happen, I doubt it. But okay, I've used some thrust reverser, and to stop the auto brakes I'll just apply some taxi power. And that's an auto land. As you can see, it was not very smooth. It depends on the runway, depends on ILS category, it depends on the weather. It won't always give you very nice results, but that's what an auto land is like. Once you've set up the ILS and checked the auto brakes and stuff, then you should be fine to perform an auto landing. Well, one thing you might then do is take over the engines manually. They do idle automatically. It shows that on the primary flight display as well as soon as it does that. But yeah, you might as well do it yourself if it's going to give some problems. I'm sure that will be fixed in the future though. Now let's see, I'll do an instant replay here and go to the point of where we intercepted the ILS glide slope, which is right about here. And I'll show you a manual, well, not really a manual approach. As soon as I have the runway on visual clearly, I'll shut down the autopilot and take over manual control. That's what I was trying to say. So to do this, I'm replaying still. One thing to do is before I click my controls, which will give me control over the plane again from here, from this point, is I'll set this to approach and localizer and enable the autopilot, which should work. And if it doesn't, then that sucks. Alright, my controls. Alright, that's fine. It took over the approach and the localizer. Let's set this to 3000 in case of a go around. Speed 132. That's fine. Let's do the elevator thing. Lower the landing gear, add some flaps. And wait for a bit to stabilize on the new situation. Alright, that's looking good. Now from about 1000 feet I'll disengage the autopilot and try to see if I can do better than the auto landing. I must confess it's been quite a while since I've landed the 777 nicely. Haven't really done much flying in it lately, but we'll see how that goes. Alright, I'll be flying with the mouse. After all of those years playing FlightGear. I still do not own a joystick. Could buy one though, but yeah. I could. Okay, let's concentrate on flying. You probably know if you've been watching more of these live recording videos that I quite suck at talking at landing and landing at the same time. There I go again. So I might as well be quiet for this. I see I'm a little high for approach. I'll disengage the auto throttle at about 500 feet. Just to be sure it won't mess it up again. Keeping the 2 green white lights and 2 red lights.
500.
And let's disengage the autopilot. Auto throttle, I'm sorry. Take manual control of the engines. Still a little high, little too much to the right. Again, random clouds showing up.
Minimums.
Continue.
$100.
Still a bit high on approach, but that's fine. The runway is longer, so.
Light slope. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Oops. And there we go. Let's do some reversing. Not very much on the center line, but I think the touchdown itself was fine. But let's make the replay judge about that. Set some auto brakes because I forgot. Stop the engine's reverser and apply some taxi power. Oh wow, that's really bouncy auto brake. So that's it. That's how you would go about taking over the approach, approximately. This is what happens in real life all the time. Pilots use the runway to, wow, I can't speak. Pilots use ILS to line up roughly with the runway, actually quite accurately, but as soon as they have the runway on visual, they'll take over. Not just because pilots can sometimes make much better landings than the computer, but also because still humans, in my opinion and in many other people's opinions, people can still judge better about whether it's safe to land, make decisions if another plane is on the runway to go around immediately, those things. So that's, I think, why pilots still land manually. Alright, let's do a replay of this.
Terrain.
That's a weird tower view. It's quite nice though with the skyline type of thing. That's a pretty poor lineup. It's not even a crosswind. Maybe there is though, I don't really know. I didn't check the weather.
$100. Light slope. 50. 30. 20.
That's a pretty early flare. Very early flare. That's, yeah. Alright, could have been better. Definitely could have been worse. Alright, so that is a fully automatic ILS landing and a half fully automatic with manual touchdown ILS guided landing type of thing in a 777 in FlightGear. I hope this recording was useful to you. Feel free to add any video responses of you doing either a fully automated landing or an ILS landing where you take over control before touchdown. Do something creative, have fun flying, and I hope to see you back for the next video. Bye bye.